I'm Amy Hanauer from the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. Thank you so much for your leadership, both of you.
Thank you for your work, Amy. We love ITEP.
Thank you. The vast majority of us earn most of our money by working, and yet billionaires earn most of their money through their wealth. Can you talk a little bit about a wealth tax and how that would transform our system?
Amy is not a plant. But I realized as Patrick and I were talking and we were starting to shift over to the subject, I thought, damn, I didn't get to talk about the wealth tax. So let me just start by saying it's time for a wealth tax in America. And the reason for that is exactly what you put your finger on, Amy. For most of us, it's about earnings. It's about the paycheck you pick up and you try to figure out how to manage around that. And if you have some extra, you put it away for savings. If you don't, you have to borrow. That's the basic way it works. And just by the way on that, for the 99% of Americans, every year, the 99% on average pays about 7.2% of your total wealth in taxes. That's all taxes. Just that's what you chunk out. That's what it takes to live in this country, to keep the pieces going, right? And we make that happen. And then there's a different class in America again. And that's, I'm going to call it here the 1%, but it's really not. It's the 1/10 of 1%. It's this tiny little group that once they get that first fortune, either by they had a great idea and it took off, they inherited it. That's a great idea. But they've got a lot of wealth. They suddenly learn they don't ever need to take a salary. They just have all that accumulated wealth and they borrow against their wealth, never creating a taxable event like a sale until they die. So they get to live high on the hog, but they never actually have to pay taxes. And thanks to our tax laws, which were written, let's go back to the first part, for whom? The billionaires and giant corporations. You may be able to pass it along, the assets that you have, to your children, to whoever comes after you, without ever paying taxes on it. That is just not an option available to an Amazon worker or a public school teacher. So my proposal is to say for the top 1/10 of 1%, for people who have more than $50 million in wealth, put a 2-cent tax on them every year. We can do this. It's about 700,000 people that you'd have to, is that right? 7,000, I think I've got too many zeros in there. 7,000 people. I need to go back and look, ignore the number. I haven't done this one for a while. That you would have to monitor what their wealth is each year, and you just have them pay a tax.
7,000.
7,000. That's, I know it has 7,000 people that would pay a tax every year. And the difference is enormous because here comes the heart of it. If they paid 2 cents, these guys on average right now are paying 3.2% of their total wealth every year. The rest of you are paying, the rest of us are paying 7.2%. If we just got them to pitch in 2 cents on that wealth, we could afford in this country universal childcare, universal pre-K. We could fully fund for the first time ever IDEA. We could quadruple our funding for Title IX schools. We could cancel student loan debt. We could make college, technical school, 2-year college, 4-year college, tuition free for anyone who wants to get an education. We could invest $50 billion in historically Black colleges and universities and still have money left over.
Your problem, Senator, is that you lack ambition.
That's true. But I do want you to think about this. It's a perfect place. I know we want to get to more questions, but it's such a good question. Taxes are about our values. Show me your taxes, show me your budget, and I'll tell you what your values are. And right now, our values, as expressed through our laws, are that the billionaires can just keep amassing. They can hang on to it. They can build yachts that you have to tear down bridges for them to be able to float it. They can do all of that. and our millions and millions and millions of children whose mamas can't find decent, affordable daycare, who are in public schools, that the buildings are 60 years old and falling apart, that young people are making the decision not to get an education because they can't afford the debt. Those are the judgment calls, the values that we're playing out through our tax laws. So for me, every time I say it's time to put a minimum corporate tax in, it's time to do a billionaire's tax, it's a way of saying, I just want to level the playing field a little so that we have the resources to make the investment in an America that works, not for a teeny tiny handful at the top, but that works for everyone.
Senator, I want to be, actually, I think that deserves a round of applause.